Hello, everybody. I'm Robert Aderholt, Congressman from the 4th Congressional District, and thanks for reaching out to my office. I received a letter from Miss Margaret Smart there at Geraldine High School, and I understand the 7th grade class has some questions that they wanted me to answer, and so I'm happy to do that. Of course, in my role in Congress, I'm honored to be your representative in Washington, D.C. to vote on the issues that impact not only our state, but our nation as a whole. And I am glad to have a chance to tell you a little bit about some of the issues that I work on, and some of the questions here that's been submitted from some of the students here are great questions. They really hit really the heart of what I think so many American people are asking. So I'd like to just go down a few of these questions, and I'll be happy to answer them and to give you my thoughts on them. Of course, in Washington, there's a lot of different thoughts on different issues, and so people have different opinions. But I will answer them from my perspective of how I feel like these should best be addressed. Always feel free to reach out to me. I, of course, have the honor of representing over 700,000 people here in the 4th Congressional District. And DeKalb County, Geraldine is a very real part of that the congressional district. And so thanks for your questions, and look forward to getting a chance hopefully to meet you in person at some point. Let me just start off with a question that I got from Kaysen Vanicelli. And the question from Kaysen was, why do you think it's a good idea to allow people to legally take firearms across state lines? Let me go back to say really the Constitution I think really answers that for us. We do have the Second Amendment of the Constitution, which guarantees the right to bear arms. And it's not for a particular state or a particular locality in the United States, but that is really addresses the Constitution addresses the entire country. So whether you live in Alabama, or you live in Georgia, or you live in Mississippi or Tennessee, those rights are equal for every American. So obviously, if you have a right in Alabama, then you could go into Georgia or any other neighboring state or any other one of the 50 states in the United States, because we are all a part of the United States of America, and that is a constitutional guarantee. Another question comes from Sandra Gasper. How do you plan to expand high-speed internet in the 4th Congressional District and across state lines? And she says, as a student, I need faster and more dependable internet to complete all my homework. You know, today, having the internet is sort of like it was having electricity, say, 100 years ago, when your great-grandparents were living in Alabama 100 years ago. And even sometimes less than that, electricity wasn't readily available either. And obviously, as the economy grew, and as there were more progress, that was an expansion of the cities, and electricity was run throughout rural parts of Alabama. There's probably very few places now in Alabama that doesn't have electricity. And I think that's the way it will be with broadband. And with having computer access and internet access. And obviously today, it's very important to have it. If you went back even 20 years ago, 30 years ago, very few people were on the internet. But today, more and more people depend on the internet for health reasons, for education reasons, shopping, just numerous things. Educational purposes and even recreational purposes, where people are playing games on the internet. And so internet has now become equal to what really electricity was 100 years ago. So so what we're trying to do is trying to really target the rural parts of America to make sure that they are not left out. A lot of the larger cities do have broadband and have internet coverage quite well in today's culture, but in rural parts of America, there's still some lagging behind. There's a lot of the 4th District that is very rural. And so what my goal is to try to see that we have funding on the federal level to try to make sure that it's not just the larger cities in America that have areas that are covered with internet access, but also the rural areas as well. So rest assured that we're going to continue to work on that issue and doing what we can to make sure that all America and all of Alabama is equally covered with broadband internet. Another question comes from Michael Dowdy. Mr. Aderholt, what are your plans to strengthen our national security and defense without raising taxes? And I think that's very important. Let me say that first and foremost, taking care of our national defense and protecting this nation is our number one priority for this, for our country, and should be for any country. But our founding fathers set out in the Constitution that one of the main reasons that we have a Congress is to provide protection for the American people. And so obviously we need to do that. I think in the day and age that we live right now, we're seeing what's happening in Ukraine. We saw what's happening last year and continues to happen in Afghanistan and even other parts of the world, that the world is a dangerous place and that we can't take it for granted that there's some terrible actors in this world that would want to harm people. And we've got to make sure that this country, we do everything that we can to stand strong and make sure that we are protected and we protect our American citizens. In Congress and being in Washington, I think that is my responsibility to make sure that we do everything we can to protect not only the folks in Alabama, but in every other state across the nation. So please know that national security issues and protecting our country is very important to me. And I think we need to make sure that we get our priorities right and make sure that we put the money on that first and foremost to protect our country and to make sure that we're not in harm's way and make sure that we're not attacked from some other power or some other country around the world. And let me just close and also issue we're talking about national security is I believe that the wall at the border should be completed. And how do you stand on this important issue? I do think it's important that we do have just like we have a strong national security, to make sure that we do have strong borders. And obviously, the United States of America is the greatest place in the world, in my opinion, to live. And I think most people would agree that the United States is the greatest country in the world. And I say that not meaning that people in the United States are greater or better than other people in the world, but I do believe that the system that we have here and our government here is something that the whole world wants to really emulate, and they want to come here. Obviously, we can't have everybody in the world to live in the United States of America. There would not be room. It just would not work, and that's why we have different countries. And so we have to be careful. We want to make sure that people come here legally. I think we need to make sure that people can come here and have a pathway to come in here, and if they want to come and move to the United States of America and embrace all the values here that we believe in, I think that's very important, and they should have the right to do that. But you have to make sure people do that legally. And otherwise, you're going to have people that's coming into this country that don't always have the best interest in mind. That doesn't mean that everybody that comes into this country wants to do harm to the United States of America, but we've got to make sure that we police that and make sure that we know who is coming to this country and make sure that they're not bringing drugs, that they're not trying to bring anything in that would harm the American people or harm this country. And so that's why we have to be very careful at the border. And that's why some areas that we have big, vast, open areas down on our southern borders, that there's people who would want to come up to the United States to harm us. And we got to make sure that we try to keep that intact and make sure that we know who is coming in and make sure that they're coming in for the right reasons. And so that's why I believe a border wall is important. So again, thanks for sharing these questions with me. Please, I'd be happy to do this follow up at another time with you and answer more questions. But this is just a little sample. I wanted to just talk to you for a few minutes and just say thank you for allowing me to represent you in Washington, D.C., to be your representative. And sometimes I'm in DeKalb County, and I'm in Geraldine area, so hopefully I can have a chance to come by and see you in person. So hope all is well in Geraldine. I wish you the best for the rest of this school year, and may God bless you, and may God bless America.